When the Going Gets Tough, podcast 14. Let me take you back to your early childhood. I want to set the scene for you. Remember the time that you were about 13 months old. You were standing in your living room holding on to the couch. Your mom and dad were reading on the couch, and then you let go of the couch. All eyes turned to you like this. Whew. She's not holding on. Then you took your first step toward the middle of the room, a wobbly step, and then a second step. Your father, bless him, went out to the middle of the room. Remember this? And he said, "Come on, come on." Now, as a psychologist, I want to promote good relationships between parents and their children. However, why is it, and I'm sure you remember this well, that as you took your next, your third and fourth step forward, your father went like this, "Come on, come on, come on." He stepped back. You stepped forward and he kept moving back. Why would a loving father do that? Well, we all know the answer to that. If you would never learn to walk, if your father never moved backwards, you'd never learn to walk and be able to stand on your own 2 feet. But as your father moved back, you made it to the middle of the room and everyone was clapping. Yay, you did it, you did it, we're all clapping. And then you looked around the room and realized that you were in the middle of the room and the couch was 10 feet away. You said to yourself, how did I get here? And how am I ever going to get back? And what happened? Remember this well, don't you? Promptly, you sat down in a flood of tears and started crying. And dad and mom ran over, picked you up and said, it's okay, you did great, you did great. But those moments of standing in the middle of the room, realizing that there was no one there to help you, because how did I get to this middle of this room? And how was I going to get back? Was a moment of, perhaps your first moment of self-awareness as an independent person, an independent child, an independent entity, that you said to yourself, I can't do this. I'm by myself. I'm alone. This is very lonely. I can't do this. And you sat down. Psychologists tell us that those first moments of standing by yourself in the middle of the room, learning to walk, are moments of self-awareness, but moments of fear, moments of great despair. How can I do this? I'm alone. I'm by myself. These are moments of very great self-awareness, but steeped in isolation. And whenever we come to a life situation, we walk into a new room, a new situation, where we don't know anybody, and we have a pit in our stomach saying, I don't feel comfortable here. It's because it takes us back, a throwback to our inner child, remembering being alone in the middle of the room saying, I don't belong here. I don't know how I got here. No one knows me over here. I can't do this. Or you move to a new city and you feel uncomfortable until you get to know people. You feel set aside, alone, lonely. Or a new job where you don't know anybody. Or a new community or a new synagogue. You move into a new place, and until someone comes over and says, hi, how are you? Shalom Aleichem, welcome, here's a siddur. Welcome to our community. You feel alienated, isolated, and alone. And therefore, all of our lives are spent trying to repair ourselves from that initial moment, that early moment of awareness of alienation, isolation, and loneliness. The Torah tells us that when Jacob was alone before encountering Esau the next morning, it says, Vayivaser Yaakov levado. Jacob was left alone. And a man came to wrestle with himself. The commentaries tell us he wrestled with the angel of God. He wrestled with himself. He wrestled with his Yetzer Hara. He wrestled with his own sense of alienation, aloneness, and loneliness. How do we resolve this problem? How do we resolve this innate loneliness that we have within us, which began very, very early in our lives? I'd like to suggest the following. If we look at this poster, we see the following. We live alone. Our lives are alone. We are born alone, and yes, we die alone. When we go through life, sitting in the middle of the room by ourselves as a toddler, or a new community, or a new job, or a new block, a new neighborhood, we feel lonely. We don't know people. And that's an emotional response. I'm alone and I feel lonely. That's true. But our response can be, if I go against gravity, this is gravity. I'm drawn down into my body, into my emotions, from my emotions into my body, and say, I can't. The antidote is to go against gravity and say, of course I'm alone. That's because I'm unique. There's no one else like me. I have to be alone in order to be unique, to be independent, and to be an independent player in this world. I'm alone, not because I'm meant to be lonely. I'm alone because I'm meant to be a unique player in this world. And only if I am alone, and thereby unique, can I make my unique, individualized contribution to this world. Only you have your DNA, your background, your upbringing, your strengths and your weaknesses. Yes, you're alone, but that's because you're unique. Now, let's leave the emotional response, which is our natural amygdala emotional response, which is from our emotional self, and access the prefrontal cortex and say, of course I'm alone. I'm unique. And I am going to make my unique contribution to this world.